What's up, everybody? With Sunday's win against the Wizards, the Knicks clinched a playoff spot. They did it without Julius Randle. Of course, he's still suffering from an ankle injury, but are the Knicks actually a better team without him? And it's looking like the Knicks and Cavs are kind of squared into a first round matchup. Is it really a big deal if the Knicks were to lose to the Cavs? We're going to cover all that and more on this episode of Knicks Digest. This past Sunday against the Wizards, 118 to 109. It was a pretty good game for the Knicks in the sense that they found a way to overcome all their shortcomings. Of course, Julius Randle is still out with his ankle injury, as well as RJ Barrett, who had a non-COVID illness, so he missed the game as well. And yet, we still had four starters score 20 plus points. We haven't had that since December of 2018. Four starters scoring 20 plus points. You already know I'm going to get into what they didn't do right, but it was good to see that so many other guys were able to step up. Obi Toppin and Quickly, who's been balling and having a hell of a season and really turned it off in the second half of the season. As of recently, it's really been Quentin Grimes, who's just been doing a phenomenal job. All of a sudden, he seems like he's more confident in his game and he's a reliable scorer, and he's looking like he's real, lethal from that three-point line. So love to see what I'm seeing out of the Knicks right now. And again, it was another game where they came out and it's the Wizards, and the Wizards had their own sort of injury problems with Beal out, Porzingis out, Kuzma was out, as well as Morris. He was out as well. So that's four starters for the Wizards that were out. And again, you would think, well, the Knicks are still the better team. They still have more of their starters, more of their core guys who are playing. And yet they came out and it was the Wizards, who are pretty much playing for nothing at this point. They came out with way more energy, way more bursts, and looked like they were the ones that were trying to clinch. That's been an issue I've had with this team pretty much all year, but especially as of late, where they've been in this position that they could clinch a playoff spot and they can move up in the playoff rankings to possibly a higher seed than where they're currently at with the fifth seed. And yet they come out against these teams, the Charlottes and Houston and some other guys that they are supposed to beat, and they just look so lethargic. And it's almost like, I hope it's not a case where they're like, well, this is going to be an easy game, we can just kind of put it in cruise control and come away with the win. And that's bit them in the butt a couple of times during this last losing streak. As a matter of fact, it's happened. But as of late, even though it's still happening, they're coming out a little bit lethargic. They are finding ways to get the win. They did it against Houston, and again on Sunday against the Wizards. So it's good to see, but I would just love it if they could come out and it's just full energy. Everybody's on go 100% from the tip off until the very end. But again, they did come away with the win. They were able to pull away in the second half. Shouts out to the Wizards, because they definitely made them work for it, and boy oh boy did they work for it. I get it, we're shorthanded and stuff like that, but still, the Wizards are shorthanded too, and you have so much of a better team right now than the Wizards do. It shouldn't have been a close game at all. And another thing that was just really stressing me watching this game was that just like all season, and as I've been noticing, like, it's gotten worse as of late, or at least in their last 10 games or so, that three-point shooting, well, the defense on the three-point shooting of opposing teams has been horrible. You got Crisper just all game letting it rain on them, and it's like, what are they doing? Every time there's somebody on that opposing team. It was Taurean Prince against the Wolves. It was I forget who it was that had a game again for Orlando when we played Orlando last week, but they were kind of raining threes and they came in that second half and it was just like they couldn't miss from back there. And every time it's like the Knicks just don't do anything to kind of slow them down, address it, or nothing of the sort. I get it. They're more of they're a better defense in the interior, so I guess they give a little leeway when it comes to 3 points. But once you see the opposing team is making these shots consistently and frequently, you need to adjust something, because we can't just let anybody come in here and shoot threes as much as they want from us. Looking forward a little bit into the playoffs, we've got Cleveland and we've got Philly, and we've got the Celtics. These are all teams who have multiple players who can consistently and frequently hit those three-point shots. So it's definitely a point of concern for me. But again, great to see that 4 players scored 20 plus points. It's been a while since the Knicks have done that. And it's all their new core guys, their young pieces stepping up to the plate and making it happen. The one thing I do also want to address from this game too, Josh Hart looked like he tweaked his ankle. He says it was nothing. He's played through worse. Last thing we need is another guy, especially one who does everything for us like Josh Hart, getting injured and missing extended time. So hopefully it is what he says and it's not serious, but players will never tell you, yeah, I'm really messed up right now. I can't give it a go. Hopefully it is just like he said and it's not a serious injury and it's something that he can play through, or hopefully it's nothing at all to play through and he just kind of, I don't know what a good ankle injury would be. To be not injured at all would be the good ankle injury. But hopefully, it was just literally that one moment and it's not something that's going to hinder him going forward, especially with the playoffs right around the corner. We've already got Julius hurt. We don't need Hart to join him on that list. But like we said, playoffs are coming. The Knicks did in fact clinch that playoff berth.
My hot takes, it's not even a hot take. We're making the playoffs. We have to make the playoffs.
Currently in the 5th seed, possibly can still get into that 4th seed. The Cavaliers will need to go 1-3 the rest of the way, while the Knicks will need to go at least 3-1 the rest of the way. And they do have the tiebreaker, which works for them. But Cleveland is too good a team. I just don't see them losing 3 out of the next 4. And it seems like every time I say the Knicks could possibly lose a couple games, they win. And every time I say they should win a couple games, they lose. I'm just keep my mouth shut on the Knicks. But Cleveland is too good a team to lose 3 out of the next 4, I feel like. But it looks like it's kind of going to be locked in to the Knicks and the Cavs in that 4 and 5 position and playing against each other in that first round. But the Knicks clinching a playoff spot, just the 6th time in the last 22 seasons, the 2nd time in the last decade. They've only made it past that first round once in these past 22 seasons. So hopefully they change that again this season, this year, and we can make it to the 2nd and beyond. Again, I'm the realistic Knicks fan, so I'm not over here saying, we can make a run at a finals or anything like that, but I would love to see us, build into this team that can get it in the next year or 2 or 3, Right now, I feel like we even might have overachieved in where we're at, but I would love to see us overachieve some more, get past that first round, and then next year it's like, all right, we made it past the first, let's get to the 2nd, let's get to the 3rd. We've got some talks that we could possibly trade for Damian Lillard. Haven't really thought on that yet, how it would work, what pieces we would give up to get him. But, he's the exact type of superstar I feel like we can add and make us, a serious contender. So, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're here in the right now, happy that the Knicks have clinched their playoff spot, anxious to see what they can do. And also just need to give a quick shout out to, all of the experts on TV. Nobody's giving the Knicks a chance, at the beginning of the season at least. 39-win team, a 40-win team. Basically, they were going to be a sub-500 team, possibly making it into a play-in tournament, if that at all. I mean, the best projection for the Knicks was a 40-win team. With 4 games left, they've already got 46 wins. So, it feels pretty good right now, and I like to say it often, especially to the Brooklyn Nets fan who deflected from the Knicks and said, oh, we've got KD and Kyrie and James Harden now and Ben Simmons and all these superstars, and we're the team of New York now. Stay where you at, enjoy what you got going over there. Stay where you at. Don't come back. It's looking greener on these sides. They're good. Don't get me wrong. Brooklyn is my 2nd favorite team. As a Brooklyn guy myself, I can't help but root for them. But, I got to stay to what I've known since I was, young, It's the Knicks, all right? So we're going to stick with them. And the Brooklyn Nets fans, y'all just stay where y'all at. Y'all be happy with what y'all got. They're going to be good in a couple years, too. Mikal Bridges has been playing out of his mind. But we're not here to talk about the Nets. Let's focus on the Knicks, going to the playoffs, doing better than the Nets was just a little bit some extra on top to make us a little bit happier, and hopeful that we can come into the playoffs against the Cavs and, take a series. We have a really good chance. I'm happy about that. There's a good chance we can beat the Cavs. That's all I'm going to say about that for now, and leave it at that. Speaking on the Cavs, though, there is something I would like to address that Stephen A. Smith said.
The New York Knicks, I don't care what they've done this season. You could lose to Milwaukee, you could lose to Boston, you could lose to Philly. All of that's understandable and acceptable. Christine, Kendrick Perkins knows this. The New York Knicks cannot lose to Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is who he was supposed to be in a New York Knicks uniform. His bags were packed. He was looking forward. He was excited. He wasn't thinking about no damn Cleveland. He wanted to be home in New York, and Leon Rose played possum. They played with the wrong dude. They tried to call his bluff, and he ain't said, yo, we got a deal for Cleveland on the table, and the New York Knicks said, no, he's not going to do it. Counting on Donovan Mitchell to come to New York for a lesser deal, and they got played. They played themselves. You cannot lose to Donovan Mitchell and expect this season to be a success. Anybody else, that's different. If you lose to Donovan Mitchell, the season's ruined. Ruined.
If Donovan Mitchell comes out and he plays lights out and he puts up crazy numbers, it's going to be a situation in which we're looking at it like, maybe we should have did everything we could have to land Donovan Mitchell and make him a Knick, as opposed to being the guy who's booting us from the playoffs. All hypotheticals, because again, even with Donovan Mitchell, great chance that the Knicks can get past the Cavs into that second round of the playoffs. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, this is a good Cavs team. This is not a bad team at all. This is not a team that lucked into the position that they're in with the 4th seed. This is a good Cavs team. You face a good team, there's a chance that you can get beat. It's as simple as that. All right, it's I get it. They're not per se the Bucks or the Celtics. They're not necessarily who people have in their mind as, possible winners of the championship, but neither are the Knicks, So if we did get Donovan Mitchell, would we be much better off than we are right now? Because if you look at what the propositions were in a trade scenario, it was going to be all these guys who are playing really well for us and who have put us in this position in exchange for Donovan Mitchell and in exchange for several picks. And it's easy to sit there and say, well, yes, you do it. You give up whatever you need to get a superstar caliber player. And to an extent, I get it. Yes, especially me, because I'm the one who's always saying, like, yes, you need a superstar to win a championship in the league today. But it's not like Donovan Mitchell. I don't want to say he's not a top tier superstar, because I would have loved to have him. I was excited when everybody said he was basically a Knick, but I don't think he's necessarily the guy that's going to move the needle for us and make us a championship contender this season. Don't get me wrong, the sound of Donovan Mitchell paired up with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, it's amazing to me, but those 3 players were not going to win you a championship on their own. Mitchell Robinson was mentioned in the deal. Quentin Grimes was mentioned in the deal, but Quentin Grimes all of a sudden was untouchable. Emmanuel Quickley was mentioned in the deal, and I'm pretty sure at this point he's the guy that the Knicks would say is in fact untouchable, and they wouldn't be willing to give him up for nothing in return. Well, not nothing. They would have got Donovan Mitchell. But you get what I'm saying. These are pieces who have contributed significantly to the Knicks' success this season. So you can look at it and say you should have done this deal, but you can also look at it and say, well, it's good that they didn't, because now we have all these other players that were going to go to the Jazz that are really playing big parts in who we are right now. And, without them, we wouldn't be as successful this season as we are. And do you really think if the Knicks were to say, hey, we'll give you everything you want to Danny Ainge, we'll give you these 3 first-round picks, unprotected, we'll give you these pick swaps, and we'll give you these players, do you really think if the Knicks did that, then it would have been a done deal, that's it, we're going to send Donovan Mitchell to you? No, Danny Ainge is not a fan of the Knicks. He doesn't owe the Knicks any favors. He was just going to use that as leverage for all these other teams. And at the end of the day, you see here what the Knicks were offering, and you see what Cleveland got in return. So if this is what Cleveland came with, we don't know the exact detail of how they were negotiating for Mitchell, but who's to say Cleveland wouldn't say, all right, we'll give you a better offer than what they ultimately did give, just to say we want Donovan Mitchell just as bad as the Knicks, and we feel he's a guy that's going to make us way better, you know? So at the end of the day, the Knicks didn't give up everything. They held strong to what they valued Mitchell at, and they didn't, get beaten in the head by Danny Ainge, who's known to do it, who again is not a fan of the Knicks and who could have just used that Knicks best package to get something even better. So I feel like, yes, it sucks that we didn't get Donovan Mitchell, but at the end of the day, we don't know what the team would look like if we did get Mitchell and give up all our young players who are playing big parts right now. And in addition to that, look at what these guys are making, right? The Knicks are already over the salary cap, and look what the guys that they were going to trade are making. You combine Grimes, Mitchell, Toppin, Quickly, you combine their salaries, it's still not meeting what Mitchell is making in one season. And then what are we going to be paying these guys? Again, Knicks are already over the salary cap. So how are we going to pay the role players that we would need? Who's going to be the sixth man out there that we would have went out and gotten to, help us stay competitive when our top guys are sitting on the bench getting a blow? We've seen a situation, Brooklyn, we've seen that situation where it's like you have these top guys and you don't necessarily have a good bench. And it's like, yeah, you have some of the best players on your team, but it's basically they win it every night with 90 points or 100 points. And, you hope and pray that the other 12 guys on your team can get 12 points so you can win a game. It's like, well, the 12 guys would need a little bit more than 12 points. But you get what I'm saying. Yes, get Mitchell, he's a great player, but you got to look beyond just the Donovan Mitchell, and who else are you going to get on your team that's going to give you a real shot at competing for a championship. That being said, if the Knicks lost to the Cavs in the first round, I don't think it's a big thing. I think it's great, especially if you look at what the experts thought the Knicks would be, a sub 500 team. I think it's great that they're in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here satisfied that they made it, and if they lose, I'm going to be like, oh, well, cool. I'd be upset still. But at the same time, nobody expected the Knicks to be here. This is all a part of the process, building up to that championship caliber team. We're ahead of schedule right now. So yes, it would be a tough pill to swallow, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this makes the Donovan Mitchell trade with the Cavs all the more embarrassing, all the more upsetting. It is what it is. Gotta let it go. Sorry, Stephen A. I completely disagree with that. Yes, it would suck, but I don't think it adds anything onto it. It's not going to be catastrophic or anything of the sort. It's just the Knicks had a great season. They lost in the playoffs to the Cavs. And again, it's hypothetical. I really, really, really think the Knicks have a great chance. I feel like I shouldn't have said it because, they have a tendency to do the opposite of what I say. So yeah, the Knicks should get swept by the Cavs. Anyways, moving on. Obviously, the health of Julius Randle and his ankle are going to play a huge part in the Knicks' playoff success. So hopefully he is able to come back in time for that series. But for right now, they've already said at the very minimum, it's going to be the rest of the regular season that Julius is going to be out for. And then before the start of that first round, he'll be reevaluated. 2 weeks, it is said to be just an ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain, so that is good. But you'll never know until you know with an ankle injury. At this point, I think it's definitely evident that you absolutely want Randle back. No question about it. He's a key factor, an X factor, a leader, the leader of that Knicks team. He's their go-to guy. As Julius goes, the Knicks tend to go. So him not playing is unbelievable. It's crucial. It's pivotal. The Knicks need their number one guy. He's the first guy since Patrick Ewing to average 25 and 10 for a Knicks team. So that alone should speak to the importance of Julius Randle. That being said, also, I kind of like the brand of basketball the Knicks are playing without Julius Randle. It just seems like the pace is picked up on both ends of the floor. And we just mentioned Donovan Mitchell. Here's what he had to say. As a matter of fact, I'm not making an excuse here. So the Knicks not having Julius Randle changes the pace of their group. Obviously what Jalen does. He pushes the pace. but you have a kind of a mismatch with those two. Julius kind of slows them down. Now you have Obi Toppin at the 4 who's running in the transition, and you got to run back. You have Emmanuel Quickly who's pushing the pace, and you got to get back. So you have to prioritize and shift your priorities at that point. You got to give them credit. And you see that difference when you watch these Knicks games. They're forcing the turnovers, which they do with Julius as well. But once they get that ball in their hand, everybody's just looking to push it up court, get that quick basket, get that transition easy bucket. And, it's great. We don't need so much of what we do when Julius is in the lineup, which is more of like isolation ball. The ball might stop with Julius, and it might be a lot more one-on-ones going on than we would like it to. There's a place for that. We've kind of created our team as it is around Julius and what he does, but this pace of basketball that the Knicks are playing now without Julius in the lineup has been fun to watch. And if anything, I feel like it's great to have a different variety from what we're accustomed to, because now we don't have to just go to Julius every time and get stagnant with the ball in our hands. Another thing with Julius not being in the lineup is just there's a lot more ball movement going on. It's a lot more looking for the open shot. In the past when we've done it, in the last couple of games at least when we've done it, it's kind of been as a result of like, nobody's hot, everybody's cold, and we're just looking for somebody to say, hey, I'll take the shot. But now with the ball movement that we have going on, it feels very intentional, and it's leading to a lot of open shots. And again, with Obi Toppin in the lineup, he's flying and going for rebounds and putting those putback dunks in and going for those alley-oops, and it's great to see. And it leads me to another point. Again, need Randle. Not at all gonna say that we don't need Julius Randle or we're a better team without him. Not what I'm trying to say at all. But I'm saying the brand of basketball we're playing without him in the lineup, I'm not mad at it. We look at what Obi Toppin's been able to do in the lineup now, right? So here's a guy, doesn't get that much spin. He's coming out of college. He was the college player of the year coming out of Dayton, right? And it's a small sample size, but nonetheless, you see his numbers when he gets the minutes that he's getting right now with Julius out. Hate that Julius got hurt, but probably couldn't have happened at a better time, right? So now we've got Obi, he's getting hot, and hopefully he can carry that momentum into the playoffs. Quentin Grimes was getting hot with Julius on the floor, but now it's kind of just like extra incentive for him to keep finding his shot and keep finding his offensive game. So now we've got all our young guys just kind of, building momentum, getting hot, getting more comfortable in the flow of the game and whatnot. Julius is going to come back and it will change. Obviously, Obi's going to get a lot less minutes, but he'll still be a little bit more confident knowing that, hey, when I'm on the floor, I fit in. Like I belong here. I'm in the league, and the last couple of weeks have shown me that I can score on these guys just as well as anybody else. Please just keep that in mind. Obi Toppin, a lot of Knicks fans, including myself, have always felt like, why isn't he getting more time? Why isn't he getting more spin? Again, a national college basketball player of the year award winner, and we drafted him very highly, but it just always felt like he wasn't quite finding his place on this Knicks team. And now all of a sudden Randle's out and he gets his opportunity and he's making the most of it. Again, look at the numbers. He plays the extended minutes. He puts up numbers that are worthy of those minutes. So Julius, would love to have you back, but I'm loving the effect that not having Julius is having on our young boys as far as like getting them more comfortable, and that's going to be big as we get prepared for this playoff run. Knicks fans, we should be rooting for the Dallas Mavericks. We need them to win as many games as possible. Right now, they've been losing, and they've just not been a good team ever since they got Kyrie. Bad news for the Knicks because we got their first round draft pick from the Porzingis trade a couple years back, and that first round draft pick is top 10 protected. So if they win, great. Hopefully they can, just get to like the 11th pick in the draft, and it's still a pretty good pick for the Knicks. But if it's top 10 protected, that pick will be moved to a later year. We don't want that. We want that draft pick, okay? Nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in again. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate you for watching, and it's been Knicks Digest. Till next time.